Hello everybody, welcome to Going for Goldbridge on the Mark Goldbridge channel. Another day, another big development. We have the first Prime Minister press conference today talking about social distancing and how long this might be. And I think the first thing that came to my mind in this is, again, I had a day where I just really struggled. Look, I'll tell you what happened to me this morning. Every Monday morning, pretty much, we go, I drop my middle daughter off to school, come back, and the wife and Seb, who's just coming up for 2.5, we go out and normally go for a coffee in the morning or something like that. And the last couple of mornings, last couple of Mondays, on a Monday morning, we'd go to the Aldi stall that's just opened up and just get a few bits. And the car park is normally deader than than the Etihad on match day parking. I've told that joke a few times, but it's very true. We got there today. The parking spaces were full. People parking in the woman and not the woman, the children bays, where if you've got kids, people just pulling in there. People pulling up on the curb, on the pathway, and I just instantly was just like, oh. I'm not saying it's the breakdown of society. What it is, it's just selfish people absolutely exposing themselves as selfish people. I think we've always known this for a long time. I think there's been a degradation of this society over the last, probably since the noughties. I think X Factor, I know people laugh. This is not a joke. I think X Factor has got a lot to say for the society that we live in now. This mentality that I can have anything I want with no talent. I can just go and sing something and get an album or something like that. So I just think that everybody just thinks that they've got this, not everybody, but a lot of people think they've got this self-righteous, I'm better than everybody else, and sod the rules. And I tell you what, if you pulled into that car park today, you would just be, my God. And the people pipping the horns and everything. Then you go into the supermarket just to get a few bits. The amount of, no toilet rolls. We weren't looking for that anyway. Nappies, things like this. And you're just like, it just boils my blood a little bit, because I'm like, the vulnerable people are the people over 70 have got health conditions, right? Do you think they're getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday to go and get their toilet roll? No, they're just going to do, they're just going to turn up expecting to get it. And then the people who are mass buying are the people who don't bloody need it. The panic buyers, they just really make my blood boil. Anyway, we went for a coffee. We popped in there. We got a couple of bits. Got in the car. Came to pull out. People just parking, waiting for spots, stopping people trying to get out. So it was just I was just literally getting. Anyway, cut a long story short. I was just about to pull out the car park, and this guy pulls up in front of it, blocks me off, which blocks everyone else off, which blocks somebody trying to come into the car park. And I just was like, I pipped him, and he looked at me and started giving me something. So I wound the window down, and the expletives I didn't even think I had in me. The C word, because he had glasses on, basically just disgusting, vile abuse that came out of my mouth. And within 5 seconds of speeding off, I just felt really bad. And I thought, Jesus Christ, is this just a sign of how dangerous this could be? But I think for me, it was a good thing to happen, because it was a wake-up call early on to be like, I'm not falling into that trap. I'm not being that person. We're going to get through this as a race. We will get through it. But the things that are going to drag us down are going to be mental health and adjusting to something that's going to be very difficult, which I said last night. But also, the things that are going to drag us down is the stupidity and selfishness of other people. And I've seen people saying it already, sod everybody else, I'm here to look after myself. I don't want to live in a world like that. So, you know what? If you think you're brave and clever for doing that, I don't want to live in a world like that. I don't want to live in a world where people are just totally selfish and out for themselves. Oh, I'm just looking after me and mine. Well, you know what? Go and get in a dinghy, set sail for Australia, and we'll never hear from you again, because that's not what we're not here for. We're not here for that. That's not why we're here. People went and fought in world wars for our freedom. We're here because of them. For you to now go in the biggest crisis in a generation, I'll sod everybody else. As long as I've got 50 million toilet rolls upstairs in the attic, I can wipe my arse for the next 50 years. I don't want you people to be part of this solution. So take your toilet rolls and piss off, because I don't. Because it's only together we're going to get through this. 100% we're only going to get through this together. And we're going to have to look out for the vulnerable. And, if you have got neighbours that are on their own and elderly, then maybe you should be knocking on their door and dropping a note through it saying, do you want anything? Because that's what we're going to have to do. As I said yesterday, if they want volunteers, I'll volunteer to do it. And I know a lot of people will do it, because ultimately the chances are, I personally, and a lot of people of my age and younger and a little bit older, are not going to be massively influenced by this. But the crisis has hit now. It has hit. And I thank you lot for watching these, because as much as I know some people enjoy watching it because it's a routine to watch something new, for me it's it's an opportunity to sort of interact as well. And I think that today, as I said, the PM's come out and said that the Prime Minister's come out and said that social distancing, pubs, cinemas, everything I said was going to happen. And I think that the Piers Morgan Brigade, who, whatever reason they're doing it, I don't think they've thought it through. I think this whole let's close the schools down, let's stop the football, let's close all the pubs, blah blah blah. Look, I totally get what that was all about, and I always knew it was going to happen. I think the government told us it was going to happen. I think schools will be gone next week in the UK, which is fine by me. I think that decision's fine, because ultimately, when you're on lockdown, you're not on lockdown for a week. This could be 3 months. It could be 6 months, 6 weeks. It could be 6 months. It could be, who knows how long it's going to be. So the least the time we're in this, for the better for me, because I think that mentally we're going to struggle. People are going to really struggle. I've noticed my mood over the last few weeks has been different to a lot of things. You get more insecure moments, you get more boredom. And I hate the word boredom, because I don't think boredom should exist. But it's not even boredom because there's nothing to do. It's just being taken out of your comfort zone, and it is very difficult. And as I said yesterday, I think it's very, very important to talk. But I do also think that we can't hide in a cupboard with our stash of toilet roll. That mentality is the wrong mentality to have, I think. I think that, whether you're working from home, whether you're delivering things, whether you're working on the front line, we don't live in a world anymore where taking the piss out of each other and sniping at each other and trolling people on social media or whatever, that sort of has to be parked for the moment, because that sort of thing is going to become way more damaging than people think. I had a few people to reply to me on Twitter today. I just block them, they're dicks. But ultimately, I was like, yeah, the dicks are going to become bigger dicks, because they're going to be at home a lot more, and they're going to become more resentful. We're all going to become more resentful of this over time. I don't care what anybody says. It's going to take absolute self-control and patience to get through this, because we're going to be forced to do things we don't want to do. We want to watch football. We want to play football. We want to go pub. We want to go cinema. We want to see our family. A lot of the things we want to do, that we do for recreation purposes and enjoyment, are being deprived from us. And that will create, whether it's subconscious or not, that will create resentment. And that resentment can get shared in a very easy way on social media, can't it? And other ways. So people who are like that are going to become bigger dicks, which means the victims of that are going to feel it even harder. So we've all got to be very, very, very wary of that. And I just think the mindset to having this, and I can't tell people how to think as much as people can't tell me to think, but I think the mindset to having this is to try not see the positive, because the positive isn't really there. This is not what we want. There isn't a positive from this. And I've heard people saying, let's reinvigorate the camaraderie of World War II. Shut up. That most of those people are either very old and vulnerable or dead. We are a different generation. We're 2 generations on from World War II. We don't have that mentality. Fortunately, I would say, for the World War II people, they were facing life and death, and they came together to for that fight. They were facing invasion, death, and they were doing it for a cause. They didn't have crappy X Factor and all that bullshit telling them, anything's possible, stick up for yourself, be whatever you want to be with absolutely no talent, and shove everybody else out of the way. That's not what they were like. And hopefully this will bring some of that out of us. But there isn't a positive from this to go, yeah, let's just be positive. I think you've got to dig in and be determinedly stand up to it and think less of yourself, if that's possible for some people. Basically, the message is stop thinking of yourself and think of those people that need the help. Like, stop thinking of yourself. And the toilet roll thing, I don't want to keep coming back to that, but bags of pasta, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because there's no logic to it. These supply chains are not going to dry up. This is a pandemic of a very hard strain of the flu that targets elderly and vulnerable people. Why would pasta run out? We're low on oxygen respirators, or whatever they call them. They're the things we're low on. If you've got 4 or 5 of those, maybe go and, I could understand it if you could self-administer them. I've got 5 of them hidden in the shed. But pasta and toilet rolls, these you're just making a lot of money for Andrex, and whoever makes pasta, because they'll just make loads more of it. People will profit from this. I was thinking this today. There are people that will profit from this. Supermarkets will profit massively, won't they? Farmers, etc. For the milk. People will profit from this, and a lot of people won't, and that's a massive worry. It is a massive worry. But we'll just have to see how it goes. But I think it's have no doubts. I mean, today to me was a really weird day because it's rained so much, and people follow me on Instagram at Goldbridge Mark, I think it is, and I'm always moaning about the rain. But today, if we didn't have this pandemic around, today would have been a day of joy. Oh, it's not raining anymore. It's like the changing of the seasons. I can see spring. We've had a very mild winter. We've not really had any snow or frost. And today was like the first day of spring. It was mild. It was sunny. It was bright. It made you feel good. It was nice to be out. I was walking to fetch my daughter from school today in that sort of warm mid-afternoon spring feeling, thinking, this is the time you start thinking about your summer holiday. This is the time where you start thinking about, putting your jumpers in the attic and you're getting your summer coat out. And I thought, that's crazy. We're moving into the spring and green leaves on the trees and warmer weather, and we're on the cliff edge of something we've never seen before, and my parents have not seen before, and some of our grandparents haven't seen before. Let's be honest. I think, as I said, the only thing that's eclipses this is World War II. So it's crazy that we're going into this, yet the seasons are changing. So look, I think, as I said, you've got to just acknowledge it, talk about it, and not be afraid to talk about it. But please don't make the mistake that I did, which I made quite early, which is just to lose my shit this morning. And I wish I hadn't done that, but I think in a way I'm glad I did, because it made me realise I'm not going to be that person. I don't want to entertain these idiots and get in. I just don't. I want everybody to come out of this in the best position that they can possible. And I know 100% that if people start being selfish, it's only going to create more problems. What are your thoughts on, just a few questions here. I did put it on Twitter before, rather than asking me questions, putting your concerns out there. So Farhad924 says, what are your thoughts on people infected with the virus and spreading it around in public places? So the latest advice is, and I'm sure a lot of you already know it, is that if you've got a cough or a temperature, 7 days isolation. But what they're actually saying is 14 days if you're living with other people, because that will be staggered then, because you might infect them on day 4 of your 7, and then they've still got to go through a 7. So they're saying if you live in a family and one of you's got a cough, self-isolate for 14 days, which is 2 weeks, which is a long time, isn't it? Do you think in about 2 to 4 months' time everyone will look back and think, why did some of us react so stupidly to this virus, says Sonny. I hope we do, and I think that's the plan. I think they're trying to, well, we know what's happening. They're trying to not let this spike out of control and overwhelm our National Health Service. So basically, you know what it's like? It really is like having a car and just putting your foot down and burning the engine down. You might drive at 100 miles an hour for, 150 miles an hour or whatever car you've got. You might drive at full speed for 10 laps before you blow the engine. What they're trying to do is just do it at 80. You're not going to be as fast, but it'll be nice and steady, and the engine will keep going. And what they're trying to do is just not overwhelm the National Health Service in this country and any other country. So rather than getting it over quick but blowing the engine, they're trying to just do it steady. So that's what they're trying to do. And I hope that if it works to plan, hopefully we will look back and go, oh, it wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be. But I think if we do look back on that, it'll be because we've controlled it well, because we should have no qualms or no doubts that if we just let this run free and we went, let's carry on going to the pub, let's carry on going to school, let's carry on going to work, let's carry on getting public transport, all of us packed in on the underground, this would spread like wildfire and the National Health Service would be overwhelmed. So they've got to put things into place, as restrictive as it is. Is there any way people get used to a life without football and will not come back? Says Steve Paul. No. I don't think. It's a bit like if you've had a bar of chocolate, you know what it tastes like. you can put up with it, and you can stop yourself from playing it, but stop yourself from eating it. But ultimately, you know how good it is. Some people don't like chocolate. Some people don't like football. It's not a loss to them. But football will be back. Sport will be back. And the sooner the better, because it's what's the word? It's a positive thing. You know, even people going down the pub, that'll be back, because people enjoy going down the pub, going to a restaurant, going to the cinema. All these things need to come back, because I was talking to the wife earlier, and it's like, will you be, you know, when lockdown actually happens, are you allowed to go for a run? Are you allowed to go for a walk? Or is that going to be totally, you know, are you basically telling people to be confined to their house and their garden for however long? Well, you've got to go shopping, haven't you? So, yeah, this it won't last for long. What's your favourite TV show to do across all channels? I don't know what you're on about, Dill, there. I like playing FIFA on That's Football. I really enjoy doing this. It's sort of grown out of, you know, I don't even know what I was doing with this. I still don't know what I'm doing with this channel, but I do like doing it. Chandanan says, I'm bored to death at home, as we're also working from home in Sri Lanka. Need the Goldbridge Daily Dose and all your funny talk. Just keep on putting good content for us to say. Well, I feel that I haven't done a sort of funny story today, have I? I really feel that I don't have one. So you may have heard this one before, but I'm always wary on this channel that some of the stuff I said at the start was probably only watched by about 10,000 people when it was a smaller channel. So talking about pub, talking about drinking, there's a few things I've done when I've had a drink that I just get. Occasionally I'll get into a stupid mood. One of them, I remember coming home one night and I straddled the banister, pretending to be The Rock from WWE, and I was just I woke the whole house on saying, "Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?" and all this, and then I was basically just reeling off loads of wrestling things. And I remember being Randy Savage and going, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna run wild over you, Hulk Hogan. I'm calling you out, you bold motherfucker, 'cause I'm gonna kick your ass from here to next week. Oh yeah." Well, I progressed from straddling the landing, you know, at the top of the stairs where you have the bit that makes you stop you falling down the stairs as you go round it. Anyway, I needed a microphone, so I went and stood in the shower, and I was like, "Oh yeah." Anyway, the next thing, I'm fully clothed. The next thing I know, I'm being sat down in the bath, and the shower's being turned on, and yeah, I got absolutely drenched. That sobered me up a bit. Another time we were having a family barbecue. I was quite drunk, and my little brother had gone to bed, and his bedroom backed onto the back of the house where we were having the barbecue, and there was a conservatory, a brick conservatory with a slanting roof. So I decided, beard up, to climb up and bang on his window and try and scare him. And I was doing this. I got up there absolutely fine. I came down a lot quicker than when I got up there, because as I went to bang on the back of his window, I slipped, rolled all the way down, and landed in the barbecue. All I would say from that is that from the bruises I had the next day, it's a good job I'd had quite a lot to drink, because that would have been painful. And I singed my arse on the barbecue as well. But yeah, I think there's a few times I've been drunk and injured myself, and I think, you know what, that wasn't a good idea. And then the third one that comes to, there's loads. There's actually, I've told you the nettle story. That one would have been the most painful of the lot if I wasn't very, very drunk. But the third one was, it was a sunny afternoon. I was about 17, and I knew I had a pre-season game, but it was really hot, and I went down the pub, and it was, I don't know why, it was like we were playing on a Friday evening. It was a Friday afternoon. Everyone was down the local pub in the beer garden, and I was like, I'll just have a shandy because I've got a match tonight. Anyway, I was like, I'll just have a pint. I'll be fine after 2. I had about 7 pints, and then popped home, got my kit, got a lift to the football, and tried to play at centre-back with 7 pints. I chewed loads of chewing gum on the way so they couldn't smell the drink, and literally in the first 5 minutes I had to get subbed because the left winger got past our right back. I came charging across, and the great thing about drink is, in your mind, you think your capabilities are absolutely normal, but your body is like jelly. So I came storming over to put this tackle in, and in my mind, as he was running at me, I looked at the ball. I was going to time this tackle to perfection. The next thing I know, I'm in the bush and people are helping me out. I was like, what happened? And they were like, I wish we could have filmed that, because you couldn't have been further. The centre forward at the other end of the pitch would have tackled him better than you were. You were nowhere near it. You just came running across, and he'd already gone 10 yards past you, and you just came running across, did this weird thing that may well have been an attempt at a tackle, and the momentum just took you 10 metres further on into this bush. So I was subbed off after that. But it's just funny, because in my mind I was like, this is going to be the best tackle ever, which after 7 pints you probably think you're Bobby Moore on Red Bull, and I wasn't. I was yeah, I was a little bit drunk, but yeah, that was a funny one. What are you going to do to keep yourself busy over the really boring periods, says Adam? I honestly don't know. I don't know at the moment, is my honest thing. I'm going to do FIFA on That's Football. We'll keep doing that, the United Stand, of course, because I think there's always stuff to talk about there. And I think I'll keep doing these because they are useful and they are helpful. But I think the first 2 weeks are going to be the most difficult. I think what people aren't realising is that although we might be doing this for 6-12 weeks, as soon as we've done 2 or 3 weeks of it, we'll be getting closer towards the end. It's just at the moment we're the furthest point away from the end at the moment. It's like a prison sentence, isn't it? You know, I know that's harsh, but it is in many ways. And if you've been sentenced to prison for 8 weeks, you know, the first week's the hardest, isn't it? But once you've done 1 or 2, 3 weeks, you're getting nearly halfway there, and then you're on the slide down. So, you know, the big thing is, what are we going to come out of this? Who are we going to lose along the way? And that's why I must say this. It's not just about getting through something, being at home in a situation where you can't watch football or whatever. It's about protecting the vulnerable. And I don't think people are getting this. And you can tell people aren't getting this by the hoarding and the toilet rolls and the selfishness that I saw this morning in the supermarket car park. So I'll pull in there, so that when a woman does pull in, or a man does pull in with his 2 kids, they've got to go around the car park because some twat in a van has decided I'm going to have that space. Why should I not take that space? Because it's not for you, you know. Well, why shouldn't I take 20 rolls of toilet roll? Because there's an old person there who's come in to get it and there's nothing left. You know, that's what worries me. It's about what's going to be left after all of this, and how we behave will dictate that as well. Because if we don't help people, they're going to suffer and they're going to be more vulnerable. Thanks everyone for watching. I will be back tomorrow, and smash a like and subscribe if you are new.